Okay, I think this is recording. So this is the tutorial for the DICE project that we've been doing in class for Intro to Engineering. And if you've been absent or if you've just missed anything in class and you want to run through this one more time to make sure you understand all the tools, this will be a good resource for you. Also, I have activated the closed caption for this recording in English, and I will try to speak very clearly so that there's not any weird captions, but I make no promises about what the captions might read at the end of this recording. So, got to get my screen share rolling. Okay, here's the options. We are going to do the entire screen. Okay. I clicked share. Okay, it wasn't populating. So, all right. So first things first, obviously, we are going to sandites.onshape.com. And when you arrive there, you will be able to use single sign-on to sign in with Google. I am going to start from the very beginning of this. I am not going to start from someplace we left off in class. So you're going to first click on your Documents tab. And remember, your student screen does not have all of the same things as my teacher screen because I have access to everyone's projects beyond my own. So first to the Create tab and a new Onshape document. The title convention that I gave everyone for this assignment was to use all caps in the word DICE and then a dash, your first initial and last name. Make sure you know how to spell your last name and use your actual credentials. Don't put J Sprague. That's me, not you. I knew you knew that. Click Create, and it's going to populate your document. Now, anytime I do modeling that's going to be 3D printed, I like to work in the top plane. I also like to click top on the view cube so that I am looking at the actual surface where I am working face on. We need to start by generating a sketch. Now, I had already selected the top plane before I clicked Generate Sketch. If you had not, and your sketch window pops up like this in red, the blue area here where it says sketch plane, you need to select the sketch plane that you want to work in. Once you have it named there, you're free to begin. Since we're making a cube, we are going to use a center point rectangle to create the base shape, and I'm going to start right in the center of my workspace. Click once, and then just use your mouse or your trackpad to navigate out. It doesn't really matter what size you make it because we're going to set the dimensions. After your second click, when the sketch light blue turns to dark blue and you've anchored your shape and you've got these text boxes that pop up around the numbers, that's when it's active and able to adjust the dimension. Do not click inside the text box. If you click inside the text box, it will start generating an additional shape. What you want to do from this point is just go ahead and start typing your dimensions. 0.5, hit enter, 0.5, hit enter. And then you'll be setting with the shape in the appropriate dimensions that you want. Now, I'm going to undo this. If you've got it here, just pause and wait until the next step. But I do want to show what you would do if for some reason that you got to this point, you had clicked inside the text box, and then you started like creating another shape and you're like, oh crud, I didn't want that. Okay. So there is the undo button up here, which you can also use Control-Z as your keystrokes to get rid of that. And while you're still active in the sketch menu, if you have a shape that does not have dimensions on it, you want to use the dimension tool, the double-ended arrow between two lines. Click on one side. Oh, but don't do that. Just kidding. Click the line. Don't click to another line or else it'll think you want an angle. And then once it's highlighted in the text, you can type in your dimension of 0.5 and then grab the other side of the shape, 0.5 as well. Okay, once we are at this point and we have a properly dimensioned square to create our dice, we are going to hit the green check mark on the sketch window. And we are now going to move into three-dimensional tools. You'll need extrude as your first three-dimensional tool. With the menu, okay, that's just signifying the end of that time there. So with this menu being active, it's telling us to select the face of the sketch that we need, and we're going to select the square, and we're going to set the depth to 0.5 as well, because it is a cube and we want it to be the same dimensions on all sides. 0.5 wide, 0.5 tall, 0.5 deep. So set that, green check mark. And you can write this by clicking any corner and getting it right in front of your screen. If you're like me and seeing all these sketch planes is busy to you, you can just right click inside one of the planes and select hide all planes. And then you're just working with the object itself with no distractions around the planes. Okay, now that you've got a fully formed cube, the next step is to use the fillet tool to round off all the edges. The fillet is right up here. It is a square with a rounded edge on it. And we are going to be working with edges, and we want the radius to be set to 0.03. If yours is not already set to 0.03 inches, set it to that. And then you're just going to work your way through selecting all of the edges of the cube. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 edges that should be selected. And once you've selected all of them and you green check mark, set the radius to 0.03, you now see a dice with fully rounded sides. Okay, now I'm going to work with the top surface, and this is where I'm going to place the first divot for the one space on the dice. I'm going to select sketch. I'm going to select the surface of the dice that I am working on. And then since I still have the center mark here, I'm just going to build my center point circle from there. But remember, if you do not have that center mark there, if for some reason it got hidden, you can use the line tool along with the construction tool to create a guiding point for you. And the escape, you see how I have another light blue line trying to form over here? And I don't actually want that. If I hit escape, that'll deactivate the tools and I can reselect them when I go and do this other part. So you do not need to create this construction line X unless this little black center mark dot is missing from your shape surface. So center point circle from the actual middle, we want this to be 0.05 for that, where the divot is going to go on the dice. And then we need a line, not a construction line, a regular line to run down the center of that circle. It can be horizontal or vertical. It just needs to go through the middle of the circle. And then the escape tool to deactivate that. So now we're ready to do our revolve. We'll select the revolve tool. We need it set to solid, and we need it set to remove because it's going to take a scoop out of that circle. So we are going to select for the faces and sketch region to revolve, we'll select one half of the circle and then click inside the revolve axis and select the line that you drew, and it's going to create that little divot scoop. Perfect. There it is. Now, on the basis of dice theory, being that opposite sides add up to 7, I was working on the top. So on the bottom side, we will be making the 6 because 1 plus 6 equals 7. So a new sketch on this surface. I'm going to start by splitting this in half because I'm going to use a mirror tool to make my job easier. So I am going to anchor a line down the middle. And then I am going to create another line that's halfway between the center and the left side. And I will make sure that it's evenly spaced here in just a minute. I'll do that by way of the dimension tool. I'll first define how much space there is right here. It's 0.22. I don't need to change that, but that tells me that half of 0.22 is 0.11. So I can use the dimension tool to pick the new line that I drew with the center line I just drew and set this to 0.11 so that I am evenly spaced over here. I'll now move on to center point circle, and I'm going to create 3 0.05 center point circles down this line that I've just drawn. Remember, don't click in the text boxes or it'll draw you a new shape that you don't want. Okay, now I need to make sure that these circles are evenly spaced so that they are even between centers. So the first thing I've got to do is use the dimension tool from the top line to the center of the first circle. This should be 0.1. From the center of circle 1 to the center of circle 2 should be 0.12, which it is. And then from center of circle 2 to circle 3 should also be 0.12. And then by default, the space between here and here should already be 0.1, and it is, so we're perfect there. Now what I want to do is use the mirror tool. And I am going to reflect what I drew on the left to the right. The first thing you have to do is select the mirror line. That's going to be the line you drew right down the center of the face. Select the entities to be mirrored. We want to mirror that line as well as all of these circles. Now, like we did on the previous side, we can move to the revolve. So green check mark here, revolve tool. We're going to remove. We want this region, and this region. The revolve axis needs to be that. Now you'll notice we can't work with this side. That's okay. We'll do a new revolve for that. But oh no, my lines went away. That's because my sketch 3 went invisible. Click on that eyeball, and then you can do another revolve to do this one, this one, this one. Oops, I forgot to set remove. This is our revolve axis. Got kids coming in for lunch, but I'm in the middle of a recording. So green check mark. And there you have your side 6 all built together. And you would follow the same procedures to do opposite sides using construction lines as guidelines. Left and right, you would have 3 and 4, and then your other 2 sides would be 5 and 2. I'm not going to go through those because you have the necessary tools to create the divots and know how that procedure works. If you have any specific questions, you can ask me in class or send me an email. So I'm done with the sharing and I'm done with the recording. See you later.